Are are we live? Yes, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a little bit of a late and short Saturday stream. As many of you know, but some of you don't, today I had to delay my stream a little bit due to being invited to a little event involving everyone's favorite moth, Junie, or Junebug as I like to call her. And had a little bit of a chat interview to celebrate her anniversary. And I can't turn Junie down when she asks if I could come be on something for a quick dealio. But, how are all y'all doing? How is everybody? How have your weeks been? How are your weekends shaping up? Basically, how are you today? Eric, we just finished up our first D&D session in a month. Hell yeah, Darness, how was it? I demand we go to war against the new Moth Empire for harming our tardy. Listen, Crazy Seth, I do know Junie is starting to meddle in a rather expansionist formulated strategy right now. And while it does make sense to meet out her conquest with conquest of our own, remember, all a tardigrade needs is their shrubbery. Not a knife, not a cup, nor a throne. So, we will hold our ground against her incursions, but we need not advance. For us, this is not a war of conquest, but a war to protect what is ours. I'm hydrated. Are you? I'm hydrated now, Marciel. Thank you for checking. We need to raise an outfit, which includes the bitch straw. No, Terramon. I will never include the bitch straw. That is not how I will ever present myself. Please don't ask me to ever bring that here. I don't need it here. It's enough when it's over there. Half our players didn't show up. The scuff levels were insane. Darness, no. I'm sorry. I know what that's like. Not the campaign I'm DMing for, but I was DMing for one campaign and was a player in another, and the campaign that someone else was DMing just fell apart because no one was communicating, and so that ended. And I'm back to being forever DM, so you know how that is. Yo, but we are the elite? We are pretty elite. Nah, that was amazing how many of you I saw fucking taking over Junie's stream whenever she was announcing, and we're bringing on a new guest, and it was just immediately the chat was filled with Eric, is it Eric? Is it Eric? Is it? And I was fucking losing my shit. Y'all are amazing, and I love you. Been pretty good. I got to post my findings on everything you could want to know about the punt and the power endurance of baby mode. Hell yeah, Wako. Eric, I just got done with my third session of an RPG game. Not sure if I like being the driver with 2.5 hour trip there and 2.5 back. Ooh, yeah, that's a way to eat up your entire fucking day. We need to raise an outfit. No, stop. Oh, for Hellfrost? Or coming back? Well, hey, Hellfrost. I just wanted to say something real quick, if you don't mind. Hellfrost, Udda. God, I hope that's a good welcome back. Every RR is a unique snowflake. Yes, Gremlin. Everyone must be. I spammed big messages. Hell yeah, darn ass. I know literally nothing about D&D, but I am interested to learn. Oh shit. Did the kick not go? Bah. Bah. Hold on. Nobody kick. I'm gonna check it myself. Yeet? Oh god damn it. Yeah. All right, guys. Sorry, don't do the kick right now. It looks like my trigger fire is busted for some reason. Okay, let me just try a different spot. Let me try a different spot. It's got no, that won't work. Let's go here. Okay. Just nobody do it. Oh, hey, darness. Nice. Let's see here. Let's see if it's totally busted or if it was just. Oh, damn. Okay, it was just that scene. All right. I'll get some kicks going. Let me swap over. See if it's yeah, it's working here. All right. Then we'll just hang out here for a little bit to make sure all those kicks come in nice and easy. You said I missed one more? All right, I'll get that going for you. Don't you worry. Why the hell is that busted on the main page though? Sag. Big Sag. There we go. Spam nice for Howfrost Redeem. Wacko. D's nuts. Nice. Howfrost. All right, I'll get hydrated. Don't you worry. Oh, all right. So as many of you see today, we will be doing a bit of D&D. Unfortunately, stream is going to be a bit shorter. Because of that, I'm just going to take a quick second to talk about what I talked about last stream, but make sure to not spend too much time on it. Hello. For people who have been gone for a little while, or people that are excited to hear some of the updates that have been coming through, guess what? At the end of the month, we will be doing a fun little. Hey, Darness, nice. Fun little celebration for me having been streaming for a full year now as my little tardigrade self. That's right, and I've narrowed down the date just a little more. Either the 23rd or the 24th. I'm going to be having my own little subathon. And with that subathon, we're going to be having a big old milestone of redeem goals. I'm thinking of setting now my overall big golden redeem to be for 200 subs, which is pretty big. But so is the reward. Something I've been working on for quite a while. Updating a interesting dungeonous locale. Filling it with all sorts of adventurous ideas. It's a bit of a one-off event. Something that only a small party could be held in. But still, something I think chat would very much enjoy having a session observing or perhaps interacting with. But beyond the big golden redeem, looking to be about 200 subs, we will be having milestones every 10 subs for you monsters to trap me into my stream for an extra 200. God, you child's play. Oh, Frost, no, please. I'm setting the sub goal low so people can feel like they can contribute and I don't drain you motherfuckers. Please, if one person does that and one redeem, I'm going to feel like a fool, Hal Frost. A fool. Calling it now for gold. Eric is going to randomly select one of us, abduct, and murder them live on stream. Oh, God. But yeah, so I am shaping myself into a position for you guys to trap me into something like a 12-hour stream. But with each redeem, you all will also be picking what I'll be doing for the next hour. We have some single-player games, some multiplayer games ideas. I'm finalizing a lot of my choices, and this chart isn't currently representing exactly where I am right now, but does give a good idea of the type of things that'll be up and options. Oh yeah, nah, these. I'm just making sure, and that's why every 10 subs is a goal. That way, if you can only gift one sub, you are 100% contributing to getting us to a milestone. I don't want my overall goal to be something super big that people feel like they can't help get to, which is why I'm going to make sure there's a bunch of milestones along the way. So every single sub will be pushing us closer to something, at least. But, I can't spend too much time here since we started stream so late. And I'm gonna have to cut stream a bit short because of how pushing things back rubs up against other things I've got scheduled going on. So let's hop on over and give me a minute just to kind of check in with you guys so I can get back into sort of the proper D&D mood, because I'm a little too excited to drop into my dark D&D voice. Let's see. Gonna hide that for a quick second there. Make sure you guys don't get. So Eric, will you be taking my sub virginity? Darness, have you never gifted a sub to anyone before? If so, I don't know. Halfrost says the subathon was my idea. I will be gifting my first ever subs. Damn, please be gentle. Like I said, Darness, I'm setting very small milestones because I want everyone to feel like they're contributing here. I do have to set a bigger goal because Sour and Halfrost have already threatened me with immediate goal completion. And I don't know how to react to that. When all of y'all are like, oh man, I'd love to gift a sub. And then I got 2 of you in chat like, ha! 200 subs? Child's play. I live in constant fear. Constant, irrevocable fear. Aww. Well, for anybody hoping to help shape up the final shape of what my subathon's gonna look like, head on over to the Discord and check out the suggestions channel. That is where a lot of things are coming in. And I'll try to make sure I get my multiplayer games locked in as quick as I can before the end of next week, so I can let everybody know what multiplayer games I will have to get voted on. So anybody who wants to get prepared to hop in and play with me will know well ahead of time what games it'll be. That way they can know if there's any they're going to want to pull for, or any that they need to reinstall that they might have put on hiatus. Might be able to gift a sub, depends on that day. Aw, thanks, D's Nuts. I look forward to it. I'm thinking of you while I eat my raisins here. Oh, Caramon, why? I like to think of myself as Elon. Let me know what you need and I'll see what I can do. Oh, but, that's enough announcements, enough excitement and planning and talk of subs and Elon Musk. What we must do is remind ourselves where we were. For it has been quite some time since our last story. For those of you new here today, for Talking D&D, we are doing a story time, a continuation of telling the story of my current campaign that I'm DMing for in my own homebrewed world with a group of friends. If you are at all interested in checking out previous parts of the story, feel free to hop into my archive. Both my D&D story times and my Mass Effect playthrough are stored there for your viewing pleasure. But we will need to recapture the moment in order to continue ahead with our story. Last time the party had departed from Auten, the capital of the nation of Taverfia, on a quest to defeat some bandits that have been accosting a village for some weeks now. However, on arriving to the village, they had discovered it to be long since ransacked. Seemingly days ago, the bandits had made their last works on it, killing everyone they came across, stealing the entire village's wealth and supplies, and burning what remained to the ground. With that done, they had disappeared into the woods. But as the party shifted through the rubble, they found one man clinging to life. As Pharaoh would descend and provide him with healing, he would explain what had happened and where the bandits had gone, and give one quick plea to the party: to kill them all. With that, the party would quickly make their way into the woods, fighting through a pair of outposts. They would eventually arrive at the bandit camp. Actually, no, Halfrost, we have not arrived at the heist. You guys are quite a ways behind the party's live adventures. We have quite a bit of content between now and then. With their final combat at the bandits' encampment, they would find the leader holding aloft a glowing sword with green crystals growing from its hilt. Engaging with combat, they would find him to be magically attuned and rather vicious. But with a coordinated assault, they were to kill this man and slay many of the bandits until the last few remaining surrendered themselves into the party's care. Questioning the bandit camp, they would find that this man that they called Sethic had taken over their band only a few months ago and led them to Tverfia, guiding them on their rampage. With him had been 2 bodyguards, clad in plate mail, one of which lay dead beside their master. The other, though, as they began to question him, they would learn had his tongue removed some time ago, but would present to them a tattoo on his hand, a 16-sided shape, reminiscent of the lands of Baron Verden. This knowledge tucked away for later, the party would gather up the supplies that the band had stolen, at least those they could carry, tie up the surrendering bandits, and make their way back to Auden to seek their reward. Along the way, Tortuga would stop off in the village of the lone survivor and set to helping him to bury his friends and family. Spending the night there, Tortuga would have a conversation with the man about his hopes and the future, about the darkness that had taken Tortuga's own family from him, and about how he had learned to survive it. With that, Tortuga would make his way back to Auden and join the party as they celebrate their newly accrued coin. With that, 4 of the party members would go on a search for a mysterious tent in the city, red, bright like a circus tent, that held magical items in it, something unique for a nation in war, someone willing to privately sell enchanted artifacts. Searching through the slums of the city, Pharaoh, the Aarakocra cleric, Malachite, the Genasi ranger, Valandria, the high elf wizard, and Perch, the warforged shade, would find themselves standing outside a red tent placed in an alleyway between 2 buildings, seemingly engulfing the space in on itself, as if it had been summoned into this area and simply consumed the nearest open area. As they enter through the tent, suddenly things change. They hear the sound of wind whipping around its exterior, of pellets of sand being knocked against the hide that makes up the tent's protective layers. The feeling of a musky warmth within the room, fighting off the Arctic chill outside. But it had not been windy, nor sandy, nor Arctic in the city they had just been in. This tent seems to be simulating an entirely different external environment, one of a faraway land. As the party begins glancing around, they see tables set all throughout the tent space, lit by a warm, though dim, orange light. Tables bearing several odd-looking daggers. A coat hanger, upon which dangled an amulet of some kind, a cloak, a pair of boots. Along another table stood a lantern, a pair of strange-looking stones, scrolls, and potions. As the party begins making their way through the table-clad area, they see at the far end of the tent a small platform with a wooden throne placed upon it, sat there luxuriating in their interest, was a maroon tiefling, wrapped in fur clothing, a thick coat, and a skin hat. He tugged at his beard, smiling, as they all slowly realized they were being observed. Once all eyes were upon him, he would slowly rise from his chair, arms held wide, as he stated, "I am Gala Der'erre, Ertama. Welcome to my store." And with that, I believe we are fully caught up to where we ended off our last story time. So now we see the party is small in this store, meeting a strange tiefling clearing from the land of Baron Varden, a seemingly eccentric figure, though with a tent full of magical items. Excitement is a whirl. So then, before we get into the story time, as I know I tend to overfocus and miss a lot of questions and the like, are you all feeling ready? Are there any last-minute questions, concerns, thoughts, or curiosities that need to be satisfied before we delve into our story? The tale that shall bring the party the opportunity to buy many interesting artifacts. Eric, I gotta go, but it was fun listening to your story. I'll see you next time on your stream. Alright, these nuts. See you soon. Ready? Alright. Is everyone feeling ready? Excited to begin? Well then, if there's nothing else that need be asked, we shall join the party in the strange Arctic tent, the wind whipping about, throwing sand against its sides, the Arctic cold staved off by the warm, glowing stove. The strange tiefling, bowing from his raised platform before the party, presenting his name as Gala Der'erre, Ertama. Pleased to welcome you adventurers to my grand trade station. What can the family of Era do for you? Perhaps you are in need of magical items, artifacts, potions, or spell scrolls. Mayhaps, he says, gesturing to a nearby board, set on it seemingly a series of tuning forks. You are in the need of identifying something you have found on your own journeys. Or perhaps you are here for a darker purpose. Not only enchantments and potions do I offer, but cursed artifacts, items of a malicious and vindictive nature. I do not sell love potions here, but almost anything else you could dream of, I might present to you. With that, the party looks about this strange place and begins asking, Gala, many questions. Malachite first approaches the table of daggers and asks Gala what each of them do. Gala steps over and runs his fingers across a pair of them. First is this, he says, gesturing to a blade seemingly made of obsidian stone. Some call it a pain dagger, others a dagger of vulnerability. This item is able to deprive creatures of their inherent defenses, making them weak and prepared to die more quickly to whatever else you might have on hand. Meanwhile, this Damascus blade, he says, is a rather cheeky little devil. This dagger is able to summon forth from its blade a dark poison, making each of its slashes far more noxious and dangerous than the last. Well, how much for them? Malachite asks. Well, for the poisoned blade, that would be 2,000 gold pieces, and for the blade of vulnerability, 4,000 is the lowest I can go. With these first two prices named, the party thinks back to how much they had been paid for their last job. 2,000 gold in total, split between 6 members. Even after Rasmussen had sold off the extra supplies they had accrued, that still meant each of them only had just shy of 1,000 coin in their own pockets. I see. You seem to be let down by that. Perhaps you can let me know of your budget or interests, and I might be able to provide you better with what you seek. With that, Valandria strides forward first. Yes, do you have any, scrolls here? Magical spells that I might be able to learn or cast? Yes, I have quite a few. Perhaps you could tell me what you would be interested in before I drive out my whole stock. Well, I would quite like to learn spells such as Fireball, but also a Scroll of Haste would be very good. As it just so happens, I do have both of these. However, Fireball might also fall outside of your price range. But I can sell you a Scroll of Haste for 400 gold pieces, along with any paper or ink you might need. With that, Valandria takes a look in her pocket, their pouch of gold seeming very light compared to what the man asks. Pharaoh has found herself standing beside a lantern. What is this? That is a whisperer's lantern. A very useful tool, though not something that is normally sold out in the open. With that, he grabs it down and flicks it on, allowing a warm glow to emanate. It can be lit as any oil lantern can. However, simply flip this knob here just a bit further. As he twists it, a blue light begins emanating from the lantern. As it does, Pharaoh feels the air around her thicken, become muted, as if a heavy snowfall had surrounded them. The Whisperer's lantern causes any conversations far away to be unable to be heard. If you light it and have a low or quiet conversation, none outside of your circle of influence will know what is happening. And how much for that? 400 gold pieces, Gala says, and I will throw in a vial of oil as well. Suddenly Pharaoh feels the blush coming to her own face. Though she could afford it, it would begin to drive her pockets dangerously light as well. Looking about as the party becomes seemingly less and less intrigued, Gala begins to realize the nature of their concern. Oh, I see. Business is not as profitable lately as one would hope. I imagine with the war on, jobs are light and cheap, no? Quietly, the party nods in consent. They would love many of these items, though their prices are prohibitive, as magic items do tend to be. Well then, perhaps I can offer a solution, says Gala. You see, I have no desire to be selling my wares in some back alley in the slums, but I have been forced to do so due to certain requirements from the city being difficult to obtain. That the party's ears begin to perk. His offer, though followed by the subtle nature he speaks, makes them curious, though nervous. You see, I have been working very hard to obtain the 3 pieces I need to fully set up in the market square with my own business. But the people I have been speaking to have requested things that I find on my own can be difficult to provide. And so I have been waiting for a group of the more adventurous types to arrive so that they might assist in these acts. And what is it, Perch says, that you would need us to do? Well, the first thing I need is a permit to trade in the market square. And this I have been doing a good job of beginning talks with a man named Frederick Tever down at the castle. He has offered me what I seek in exchange for help with a particular problem he has been having with a young boy falling in love with the wrong girl. I also, though, would need assurances from the local guard that my business should not be under constant observation. You see, the military has taken the habit of seizing magical goods for use in the war effort. But as a trader, I could not sustain my business unless they offer me this promise. They have agreed, but I must handle 2 things for them: a quick delivery and the clearing out of a nearby mine, which it seems has been overrun with some pests. Finally, I have been hoping to make connections with the local underground to provide me with some of my more insidious ingredients I use in certain potions and concoctions. Nothing openly illegal, of course, but highly scrutinized. And how much would you pay, Valandria says, for getting these jobs done? Well, let us put it this way. If I can get set up in trade without any problems, I would not need to gouge my close friends the normal asking price. For each step you help me along, I will reduce my prices by half for 1 item you will seek, and will make sure to maintain a long-term, smaller discount for my dear friends. So, if we were to do 2 jobs for you, a quarter price? Yes. And if you do all 3, I might throw in a little extra bonus. With that, the party kind of circles up for a moment, discussing amongst themselves. I have no desire to engage with the underground here. It seems a bit of a steep promise to make to guarantee we'll speak with illicit types and help him with illicit business. I don't know, says Pharaoh. It could be fun. But if you are all certain, taking care of the other 2 sounds like it'll be simple enough. and give a very good discount. With that, the four nod in agreement as they approach Gala and offer to take care of the jobs. That is very good to hear, Gala says. Which would you like to handle first, then? The guards or Frederick Tever? I think dealing with romance sounds the easiest, so perhaps we'll start there. Very good, Gala says. I am afraid, given the nature of things, I cannot provide you with an invitation into the castle district. But you seem like clever folk. I'm certain you can find your way in without problem. And once you get in front of Frederick, everything should resolve itself quite easily. The party is immediately concerned. Gala had not mentioned that they would need to be sneaking into the central district of the city without an invite. But Malachite seems to chip up at that and gesture that she has an idea. We'll accept, she says. I think I know what we can do. With that, she begins striding out of the tent, excitedly. Shouldn't we perhaps ask for more details? No, I've got this, Malachite says. The rest of the party rolls their eyes and follows in suit behind their excited friend, intrigued to hear her plan. Thus, they begin crossing their way towards the center of the city of Auten. Concerned about how to sneak into the central district, curious about this figure, Frederick Tever, and wondering what boy has found himself engaged in a unfortunate romantic situation. It is about the time they arrive just outside of the gatehouse into the central district that Valandria finally stops Malachite and asks her, what is the plan? Malachite begins explaining that she's got two basic ideas. The first is to contact Aquila Andrana. She works as a diplomat for Polamont. She's currently in Corella. So I think if we were to contact her and get her to send us a introduction or an invite, we could present it and bullshit our way into the castle with that. Valandria looks down at Malachite, wondering what an invite from a different diplomat in another city might do. Aquila does seem to like Malachite quite a lot and might be willing to agree, though burning a favor on such a task might not be worth it. What is your other plan? Valandria asks. With that, Malachite begins digging through her bag before she produces a small metal seal, a coin-like object, holding the sign of Legionary General. Looking at it, the party is confused at first. Then their eyes go wide. What is that? Perch asks. Well, this was a gift from, a Legionary General to me. It basically, holds his authority, so I think if one of us, shows this to them, we could pretend that we are Pulamont diplomats here, to talk about, an alliance against Aethrone. With that, the party stands stunned and silent for a moment, staring at this metallic seal, drinking in the implications of why Malachite would have something of such absolute authority in her possession. You said this was a gift, Valandria asked. Yeah, he said I did a good job, and so he gave me this. Valandria falls quiet for a moment and thinks. I think that seal could work if you trust me to act as a diplomat? Sure, Malachite says, handing the seal over to Valandria. Well then, I guess I'm here to represent Pulamont. With that, the party spends several minutes formulating their plan. They will present themselves as Pulamonti diplomats, not here in a fully official capacity, but here to speak with Frederick Tever about the possibility of an alliance or of coordinated movements. Pulamont's own territorial warfare with Askrostia could line up quite well with Taverfia's, though at the time, without any official backing, if the party is pressed too hard, it'll become clear that they are lying through their teeth. Still, with a quick pat on the back from Pharaoh and Malachite, Valandria feels empowered and ready to begin the plan. Approaching the gate, Valandria quietly speaks to the sergeant, presenting herself as a diplomat, here on very important business from Pulamont, a discussion about a throne with Frederick Tever. And it seems the implications lay heavy, as every guard in the barracks seems to lean in and listen closely, and become more and more excited at the prospect of an ally in this war. Their excitement becomes so palpable that as they gesture the party through, they do it quickly, sending people to guide them to Frederick Tever. Their lie has most certainly passed muster with the guards, but what will happen with Frederick remains a question. Guided up to the palace grounds, to the far wing, onto the second floor, they are brought before a simple wooden door in a long hallway. Here the guards stop and gesture towards the door for them. This is Frederick's office room. Please, are you needing an introduction? No, Valandria says. We will handle that our own. With that, the guards give a nod and depart down the hallway, leaving the party quietly waiting to be fully alone. Well, that worked better than I thought it would, Malachite says. Let's hope it keeps working. With that, Valandria gives a soft knock on the door and waits for a moment until they hear a voice. Yes? Who is there? I do not believe I have any business today. With that, Valandria quietly and slowly opens the door and says, I'm afraid we arrived a bit secretly. We wanted a private discussion before rumors began to go about. With that, she sees an older man, a level of regality about him, worn down by clearly years of stress and duty behind a desk. Strewn about his office space are maps, papers, documents, and letters, piles and piles of letters all around. And who are you that wish for private business? With that, Valandria lifts up the seal, crossing the room and placing it down on the desk in front of the man. He leans down, taking a look at it, and his eyes go wide. Please, come in and close the door behind you. With that, the party proceeds. Pulamont is sending diplomats here. Does that mean they are interested in joining our war with Aethron? I am here to have a discussion, Valandria says. No promises or guarantees are to be made today, but we are very curious to learn about certain goings on, and to prove the effect of Pulamonte diplomats. What do you mean? He says. Well, we have a friend of the general in the city who has said that you are in need of some assistance with a particular problem, one of great import, Valandria says, taking a seat before the man opposite his desk. And who would that be? A small trader going by the name Gala Der'erre. With that, Frederick Tever's eyes narrow at them. Really? You see, he has done quite good business for us before, and has said that you were in a bit of a need of help. And so we've arrived to offer that help, and to present ourselves as an option moving forward. With that, Valandria smiles and leans back. The bait has been placed. Valandria successfully implied that they are diplomats from Pulamont, interested in Verfia's war with Aethrone, interested in helping them in whatever ways possible, though without actually offering any promises or guarantees, and placing this as the idea of more of a test than an agreement. Frederick Tever is stoic for a moment. It seems he is a man quite familiar with diplomacy, but his eyes keep drifting back to the seal, distracted by everything it promises, everything it could bring to the war effort. Very well. Then let us proceed with Gala's business, so that you might better understand what powers Verfia can wield and the help we need to fully push Aethrone out. I have been working for years now to create alliance with one of our neighboring kingdoms, and have made quite great strides recently. I have begun to finalize the marriage between the Prince Ivan Tever, my nephew, with the Princess Katerina Pontevi. Once this marriage is completed, our two nations will be allied and along opposite borders to Aethrone's territories, able to provide such pressure that they will have to abandon them completely, and might even do so without further combat. However, he says, the excitement of his plan and everything he had brought to fruition immediately deflating. The prince, it seems, is romantic, and rumors abound at the castle and palace of his interest in a local girl. Someone of a noble family, but one without much power or influence. Someone who cannot provide the same assistance that the kingdom of Pontvi could for their princess. That is very unfortunate, Valandria says. And what exactly is it you're asking us to do? The prince has been very tight-lipped about this for obvious reasons. He fears reprisals and the like against his infatuation. But this is not what I aim to do. I do not wish to punish the girl for attracting the prince's eye, but simply to make sure he abandons the romantic interest. I must learn exactly who she is, so that I can better act in a way to prevent the boy from committing to any more permanent choices with her, and to see if perhaps there is a way for her family to discourage such a match as well. Melandria begins to slowly nod. At first she had feared this would be something violent or underhanded, and while it is certainly manipulative in a way, it seems Frederick has no desire for assassination, bullying, or beatings. Simply fully utilizing court pressure to drive the prince away from this girl. And what is it we can do to help? This afternoon, in a few hours, there will be a luncheon downstairs. The prince will be in attendance, along with a few other important people in the castle. I wish to invite you as bodyguards of mine, adventurers from far-off lands. Thank you, Lotus. I wish for you to basically grab the prince's attention. He is romantic, as I said, very interested in adventuring and heroism. Get him to talk with you and try to convince him to tell you who he is interested in. And if you could possibly swing it, get him to abandon his infatuation for his duty as a prince. Melandria begins nodding slowly. Very well. Speak with the prince, learn who she is, and try to push things apart. I think we can manage that. That is good to hear. Once I am certain I have everything I need to make sure the prince does not continue ahead with this, and will instead accept a marriage to the Princess Katarina, I will make sure your friend Gala receives his permission papers. And perhaps we might have further discussions about working together in the future. With that, the party sets out, following Frederick down to the first floor and to a wide open hall with tables set about with small foods and delicacies, a pair of roaring fires warming the room. Slowly, guards, nobles, and royalty begins trickling into the room before Frederick gestures to the party, pointing out a prince, somewhere in his mid-20s, sat nearby a fire, writing on ink and paper, seemingly engrossed in his current activities. That is him, Frederick says. Please, go about it however you see best. With that, the party begins slowly making a circuit through the hall, speaking with some people as they creep closer and closer to the prince. His attention seems buried in whatever he is writing, as he begins scratching out and rewriting a piece. They begin a conversation with a nearby guard, talking about one of the fights they had had on their way here, strange creatures in the darkness. But the prince does not seem to overhear them. After taking a moment and looking about, Perch crosses from the group and heavily sits down in his plate mail at the same table as the prince. With the metal clang on wood, the prince looks up, and across from him he sees a massive man, 6'6" in height, broad at the shoulders, clad in dark plate mail. His eyes go wide for a moment. Evening there, Perch says, trying to throw as much roughness into his voice, as much mystery as he can manage. Evening, says Ivan Tever. He then glances down at his paper and continues writing. It seems the forward approach was not enough, and so Malachite takes things even further forward. Climbing up on the bench beside the boy, she begins reading out loud what he is writing. And my dear, your hair reflects like fire. With that, Tever covers the paper immediately and looks over at her, eyes wide in fear. Interesting poem, Malachite says. Thank you. Who are you? He says, glancing around, now realizing around him are situated a genasi, an Aarakocra, an elf, and this armor-clad man. Sorry, says Pharaoh, leaning in. We are a group hired by your uncle, Frederick Tever. We are guards and adventurers for him, taking care of jobs here and there, long and far. With that, excitement seems to begin to paint itself across Ivan's face. You're adventurers, then? You have been fighting monsters and engaging in battles and the like. Yes, says Perch, rubbing a finger across his armor. Monsters abound. Amazing. His defense is now lowered somewhat. Malachite sits down as Volandria crosses behind the boy, and more softly states, And what are you working on? Oh, just some poems, Ivan says. I mean, just some writing, as he begins to tuck the parchments away. Are they for a girl? Volandria says, giving Ivan a quick wink, which sets his face aflush. No, I mean, maybe, there's a girl that I like, yes, but it's not like she's my girl or anything. He begins stammering, as Volandri asks, Oh, are you two not official in any way? Are you not the Prince of Tverfia? Well, I am, but she's just. Her family lost their home a long time ago. It is just her and her brother now, and they stayed at the castle for some years while we were both children, and we grew up together until they got a manor here in the city, and she moved out. But I don't know, you probably think it is all foolish, and no, that is not foolish, Volandria says. That is very cute, I think. With that, Ivan begins to blush even more deeply. And why are you writing her just poems? Couldn't you go and speak to her? Or... Well, I am not fully permitted to be leaving the protection of the Central District. We are at war now, and the first prince of the Verfia is a target of many threats. You, the prince, are not allowed to leave. Well, not unattended. Oh. And this love is secretive. Well, I don't know if you could say love. We haven't really gone. She doesn't know that. She doesn't know that you're in love with her? Malachite says, her mouth aghast. What I mean to say is I'm currently working on fully telling her. You need to tell her, Malachite says. What are you gonna do if some other guy's out there telling her? Well, yeah, no, Malachite does make a good point, Perch says. Really, if you don't have the courage to stand up and tell her how you feel, no, it's not. The party begins collectively talking amongst themselves about this poor prince who has been unable to get up the courage to tell a girl that he likes her. Hearing these noble adventurers talking about him, the prince grows redder and redder with embarrassment. Before finally he says, Well, Maybe there is something I would like to do. I want to get her something. A gift, Perch says. Boy, you need to tell. Exactly. No, it is a way to tell her how I feel. I'll write it out very clearly, the boy says, on a letter. And could you deliver that to her for me? The party looks around at each other. It should really come from you. I know, but if I go there, then my uncle might find out who I am interested in. I might arrange ways to prevent me from seeing her. All right. So is this letter the gift? No. The gift is something she talked about when she was younger. A toy from her old home, from the manor. A stuffed rabbit that she'd left in her room when her and her brother had to leave. I want to write her a letter and give her the bunny to show her I still remember, that I care, and that I'll do whatever I can to make sure she's safe. With that, the party begins to see that the room is starting to clear out as many depart. Please, promise me you'll help. All right, Valandria says, the party looking at her in a bit of confusion. We'll help you. With that, she and the rest of the party rise from the table and cross towards Frederick Tever, following him out of the hall with the information they had gathered and the promise they had given. Following Frederick back to his office, they all shuffle in as he begins to ask what they found out. It seems there is a girl that he is interested in, Valandria states. She finds herself stopping for a moment, trying to formulate a plan. She can't imagine outing this girl openly, giving anything away, or it would be a hard thing to do to this innocent prince that she is beginning to feel just a bit bad for. On the other hand, there is Gala to consider. And we are actually forming a plan we think will fully end the problem for you, she begins stating, lying through her teeth. She has no plan, nor has she even made up her an idea of who she wants to help in this situation. Frederick or the prince. The girl used to live here in the palace, it seems. Her family had lost their home, but now they live out in the district. Frederick begins to think and ponder on who this might be. I think he said something about red hair. With that, Frederick's eyes go wide. Ish. I think I know exactly who you might be interested in. Now, I want to say none of this is definitive. You shouldn't act right away on this until we can confirm it, Valandria says. And I have a plan that I think will perfectly get everything you need. All right. I will let you act, but I would like to send out some messages if I can. Because if it's who you are, I think it is, I would like to summon some of their servants here to question. That could be very helpful, Valandria says, as she sits aside silently, watching Frederick write up a pair of letters and sending them out from the castle. Some hours pass before a trio of servants are brought to Frederick's room. These are the servants of the Gretton family. They are currently living on a home procured by the castle here in the city, so their servants are paid for by the king, and not by the family themselves. They will not withhold information. If there is anything you would like to ask that you think would be helpful here, please do. With that, the party begins questioning its servants. Does the woman of the house, named Rosalind Gretton, have many suitors? It turns out yes. Many letters of suitorship come in frequently, though there only seems to be 3 or 4 who have been constantly courting the girl. Impressed further, it seems 2 of them have only communicated by letter, making their identities secretive and something these servants do not know. The most open, however, was a figure of a knight, someone who worked alongside her brother in training and becoming soldiers. When asked about it, they would state that a man named Gregory worked alongside Rosalind's brother, training to become knights of Diverfia, and that whenever he visited the home, he would make efforts to speak with Rosalind, he would make clear his intentions to one day court her, once he had been fully dubbed a knight. And it seems Rosalind was not altogether disinterested in his advances, though she still maintains writings with the other suitors. With that, the servants would depart, and the party's plan would take forward another step. So it seems very likely that the prince is one of these letter-writing suitors. I can make efforts to make sure nothing he writes ever reaches that house again, or inform the girl to cut off connections with him. Well, we don't even know if she likes him, Valandria says, before covering her mouth quickly, having let her own mind speak aloud, perhaps a bit too loud. What do you mean? What I mean, Valandria says, is perhaps she's not even interested in the prince. Or perhaps we can find out ourselves, she says, how interested she is in one of her other suitors. Right. You think perhaps speaking with Gregory? Yes, that probably would do. Can you give us the day to go about this ourselves, Frederick? All right. But if I do not hear from you by tomorrow evening, we'll need to act to ensure that the prince understands that he has a duty to the kingdom. That is fine, Valandria says, rising and guiding the rest of the party. We'll go about our own investigation then. With that, the party departs from the palace and from the palace grounds before they begin to circle up and speak. What should they do? They really want the discounts from Gala, and the only way they can earn him his business, it seems, is to do what Frederick wants. Maybe the prince could grant Gala his trade papers. Unfortunately, we do not know if that is possible, and even if it does, based on our lie, it would be very odd for us to backstab Frederick. Yeah, we're supposed to be Polamonte now, right? Exactly. You also seemed pretty concerned about what Rosalind likes. Yes, we have done all of this discussion, and we still do not know if perhaps she does not like any of these people. But it's all too assumptive. I would want to speak with her as soon as possible, but I don't know. There's also the idea of getting that bunny out of their old abandoned mansion. Yes. Perhaps we can kill 2 birds with a stone. What do you mean? So her brother works with this Gregory fellow. Perhaps we can go there and ask her brother about the mansion and see what he thinks of this suitorship business about the Gregory and all of it, and start to get a better idea of how we should proceed. With that, the party all nod in agreement and find their way about to the noble training yard, a place for knights and nobility to practice their skills and prove themselves in duels. Arriving in the yard, the party would see two large figures having at it with swords in a circle, fully plated in mail. One, a man, the spitting image of a knight, 6 feet tall, wielding a two-handed long sword, deftly bobbing and weaving. The other, a terrifying hulk of a man, 6'4" perhaps, thick as a tree trunk, wielding a great sword with as much speed as the longsword wielder, driving him back step by step, draining energy from him with each parry, with each blow, with each rapid shift in stance. The two sweat profusely as their engagement drags on longer than any duel should, until eventually a blow from the massive man drives the deft knight from the circle. A victory by disqualification. With that, the two tear the helmets from their heads, sweat holding fast their hair, air escaping them in rasping breaths. "There got you again, Hux," the larger man says. "Yes, Gregory, yes, I know. You are quite the deft man." With that, the two cross over to a water barrel and begin drinking and pouring a bit down their armor, trying to maintain their body temperature to the best of their abilities. "I believe those are who we're looking for," Valandria says, crossing to the yards to speak with Sir Hawks and Sir Gregory. As the group approaches, Hawks takes note of these strangers and gives them a hail, crossing to speak with them. The party begins by explaining they had heard some rumors about an estate nearby and were told to speak with Hawks about this. Valandria, wishing to keep things as subtle as possible, decides to paint things not as a job, but a curiosity. "Yes," Hawk says, "that was my family's estate a long time ago, back when I was a child." "What's happened to it?" Valandria states. "We've heard stories of ghosts and hauntings and..." "Nothing quite to that level, no," he says. "Something more horrific in many ways. Long ago, that estate was the center of House Gretchen, overseen by my great uncle. He was a man with a strong curiosity about magic, especially on summoning and the creation of magical servants. He had spent most of his life studying on his own how to perform certain spells, and for someone self-taught made quite a deal of progress, but then became frustrated as he was stymied towards his ultimate goal. I do not know what it was exactly, but one day he decided to take a trip across the world, he said, to learn the secrets of long distant places, maybe to find the answer to his question. He went traveling for half a year before he came home, stating he had found the secret he was looking for. Over the following weeks, animated suits of armor began roaming the home. They would manage the gardens, deliver food, take care of cooking and cleaning. Over time, my great uncle began to replace all servants in the home with his new creations. Until one night, I awoke in my bed, hearing a strange scream that seemed to be cut off. Getting out of bed, I went out into the hall, and looking down, I saw a trio of suits of armor walking down the hall that had all of the rooms in it. They stopped at one doorway, opened it, and went inside. And I heard it again, a strangled scream. As the suits emerged, I saw dripping from their hands, in the darkness, some strange dark liquid. And I ran. I ran to my sister's room, grabbed her from her bed, and ran screaming from that home. My screams were intermingled by those of my family, as my great uncle's suits marched through the halls, efficiently, as if taking out the sheets for washing, and one by one killed everyone on the manor. I have not gone back since. It has been nearly 20 years since that happened. My sister and I now live in the town, and well, at this point I have to assume my uncle is dead. The house has apparently been in disrepair for some time, but from the rumors I hear, I think those suits of armor still walk the yards. They likely killed my uncle, and now walk through that abandoned place themselves. I'd always meant to return there one day, once I had fully become a knight, to expunge them and to reclaim my family's manor. Well, today's your lucky day, then, says Perch, 'cause that sounds like just the job for us. Hawks looks across at this group. Really? Yes, we heard rumors and we're a bit of monster hunters, you see. And hearing about your family's haunted mansion, we thought about going there and cleaning up, though we wish to speak with an owner to get a bit of an idea of what the place was like and what happened. Well, if you do, I'll offer you a reward for saving my manor. 500 gold pieces. The party nods. Though, of course, I would like to ask that you slay every last suit of armor there, and try not to burn my house down, yes? Agreed, Perch says, reaching out a hand and clasping Hawk's. We will take care of it. With that, the party departs from the training ground, stopping outside to speak again. Well, I think no matter what happens, we're going to that manor, yes? Absolutely, Perch says. Pharaoh gives a quiet nod as Malachite pipes up. I want to kill some fucking armors. Yes, that does seem the prudent thing to do. Help clean things up, and perhaps have a fun fight. With that, the party gathers up their things and places aside the question of what to do with Rosalind, Ivan, and Frederick. After all, they're simply some monsters that need slaying. The party walks from Auten, following the directions given them by Hawks. They cross a few hours into the countryside, following a cobblestone road as it slowly becomes more and more unkempt. Moss growing up between the cracks, weeds overflowing onto the roadways. In one spot, a pothole has formed, with a small sapling begin to growing from it. And then the party finds themselves stopped, dead in their tracks, as they come to a section of road in front of a large manor. The first thing that strikes them is not the arrival of the house, for they had been prepared, seeing it growing closer and closer down the road. Instead, what it is the pristine look of the cobblestone road in front of them. The gaps clean and sealed with dirt. No moss, no potholes, nothing of that like ruining the roadway in front of the mansion gates. The gates themselves, well kept. Some rust in certain areas, though no spot where it seems the fence itself has fallen in or fallen over. Looking at the mansion, they see it standing, seemingly freshly painted, oddly contrasting the dilapidated look of certain support structures. A window, broken in several places, like stones had been cast through it, set in a freshly painted window sill. The roof collapsing over one section of the house, which still shines brightly, as if it had just been cleaned. And most strikingly, a well-kept garden sits beyond the gate. Flowers growing in the hedges, rose bushes, green and red, deeply well taken care of. The party looks at this well-kept and beautiful garden, at the somewhat maintained yet also falling apart home of the rusting fence that has been repaired at some point to keep it standing, and at the two metallic statues standing on opposite sides of a chained gate. This, it seems, is the Gretton Manor, standing in a strange state of both constant care and disrepair. Staring at the two suits of armor, the party finds themselves drawing their weapons. You know, Valandria says, perhaps speaking to Hawks was the perfect plan. I might have just blown through this gate, but after hearing what he says, I think it would be prudent for us to topple these statues before we proceed, yes? With that, the party nods, as Perch draws his great sword from his back. Pharaoh brings forth her spear, and Malachite draws her twin blades, and Valandria begins to form a bolt of flame in her hands. Well then, let's perform some pest control. And that is where we will be ending today's story time for today. I'm sorry, I know it was very short today, but unfortunately, I got invited on to join Junie for her anniversary, and I just can't say no to her. And I've got some other things going on later in the evening, so I can't extend my stream too much later. Still, I do hope still pulling off an hour and a half with our later schedule has been fine for a lot of you. I hope you enjoyed the setup to our haunted manor, and you all are excited for next week when the party gets to tear through some suits of armor and perhaps discover the dark secrets of the Gretton Manor. But for now, I must wish you all a good night. Though I am still always available on Discord to chat if you guys have any questions or anything you would like to suggest. Remember, moving forward, we are coming closer and closer to my planned subathon. And in fact, I have begun to narrow the date down. So before we go, I do have one little question for you all. I am most interested in doing my subathon, which has a likelihood of running really late, starting early, maybe a little before noon, on either the 22nd or the 23rd, I think are our most optimal days. Though I'm wondering what you all think. How do those days work for you, those being a Monday and a Tuesday? Is there a day in general that you think would better work or would definitely not work at all? I know Mondays tend to be rather garbage for people, so it could be a fun relief to have a nice long stream with the tardy boy. I could also push it maybe to the 21st, though that would be unlikely as that would highly overlap with my Sunday D&D sessions. I could also push it to Wednesday, the 24th, but I do have family in town on the 26th, meaning Friday is a very likely no-go. So that is where I'm looking at the 22nd or the 23rd. If any of you have any preferences or suggestions, I am all ears, as we have still a few minutes before I need to cut things short. I got the week off, so I'm good with either. Hell yeah, that is good to hear. All right. Well, I'm certain many of you will have to be looking at schedules and will actually be pretty good at reshaping things whichever of those 2 days I choose. But if there are any days that 100% will or won't work, do not hesitate to let me know in the Discord. I will be posting up these suggestions, but we'll try to narrow things down a little bit as we get closer and closer. Still, thank you all for joining me today. Not sure what the curveball uni will throw, but sounds good. Hell yeah, Mortis. But for now, I wish to give you all a nice and personal good night. I hope to see you all soon. I hope you're all excited for our upcoming event. Now let's get you all back to who I think you likely are going to be visiting on your own with a quick raid to Best Girl. Let's get going. Gotta check in on Junie. Night, y'all. See you very soon as we push on ahead. Let's fucking go!